When altars started appearing all over the world, crashing down from the sky, people everywhere began sacrificing their most precious items, all chasing that same reward, a glowing white light. And me? I stood there holding a cheap, spicy snack. Yeah, I know how that sounds. And the next second, I just tossed it straight into the center of the altar. The people around me instantly burst out laughing. Some mocked me, calling me broke, like I didn't belong there, like I was just some background NPC who wandered into the wrong scene. But the moment that altar suddenly shifted into its highest level red light, everything went silent. That blood-red glow flooded the area, and from within it, something emerged. Something no one had ever seen before. A mythical item. And right then, it hit me. This wasn't normal, because I had just awakened a unique power, the Eye of Truth, an ability that lets me see every altar's connected coordinates, and its true demand. It was simple. Give the altar exactly what it wants, and you get the highest possible reward. And the craziest part, no one had any idea that just a few hours ago, I was nothing more than an ordinary guy. A guy who had just been completely robbed by his own ex-girlfriend. Yeah. She grabbed the brand new items I just bought, my stuff, my bag, and got into a cab without even looking back. I stood there watching her leave, feeling like the sky was about to collapse on me. And then, boom, a massive sound tore through the sky. And the next moment, countless altars actually started falling from above. The whole world lit up like it was burning. In the middle of that chaos, a sharp pain stabbed into my eyes, like something inside me was changing. And when I opened them again, I saw a line glowing on the altar next to me. A line that only I could see. Altar number 666. Connected coordinate. Endless abyss. A giant beast that has devoured everything. Time has left it bored, and right now, it seeks food that delivers extreme taste and thrill. I was still processing that when a crowd began gathering around. Everyone looked excited, greedy, desperate. Then a fat guy stepped forward and casually threw a piece of bread into the altar. A few seconds passed. Silence. Then a soft, white light appeared, and a glowing fruit slowly floated out. The guy's breathing became heavy. He didn't even think twice. He shoved the fruit straight into his mouth. And what happened next was insane. All the fat on his body vanished instantly. Muscles bulged out like he'd been completely rebuilt. And in seconds, he turned into a ripped, muscular man. That was it. The crowd lost control. People started throwing in everything they had. Their most valuable items, luxury watches, gold, diamonds, it didn't matter. Everyone had gone crazy, blinded by the promise of power. And me? I just stood there, my mind completely blank, because I was the only one who knew the truth. The creature behind that altar didn't care about gold or wealth. It wanted extreme stimulation, and that's when a memory hit me. Once, a friend brought back a death-level spicy snack from abroad. I barely licked it, and for 3 days straight, I was completely wrecked, stuck in the bathroom. Yeah, literally trapped. And now, connecting everything, a thought formed in my head. If a simple piece of bread could give that kind of enhancement fruit, then what would I get if I gave that monster exactly what it craved? That was it. I made my move. I ran home, tearing through the entire place, flipping everything upside down until I finally found it. That deadly, spicy snack. My heart was pounding, but this time I didn't rush out immediately. I sat down, turned on my computer, and checked the news first. And what I saw, things were even crazier than I thought. The global internet had completely exploded. Every website, every headline, just one word everywhere. Altars. One headline caught my eye. Some Middle Eastern sheikh had sacrificed an entire truckload of gold, and in return, the altar gave him a glowing blue seed. When he consumed it, he gained the terrifying power to summon vines. I just stared at the screen, but the next news was even worse. Japan. Their sacrifice had failed, and instead, 10 evil spirits had been summoned. A kendo master had offered his ancestral sword to the altar, but instead of a reward, a black smoke demon emerged. And now, Japan was in complete chaos and destruction. And that monster, the army had already been called in to contain the situation. And as I kept scrolling through the news, I could feel fear creeping in. It became clear that if a sacrifice failed, it could trigger dangerous disasters, which meant understanding an altar's exact demand wasn't optional. It was everything. Right in the middle of that realization, my phone suddenly vibrated. An emergency notice from the Chinese government popped up. According to their initial findings, these mysterious altars carried massive risks and limits. One person could only make a single sacrifice per altar, and each person could only sacrifice 3 times a day. On top of that, when the altars appeared, they released an unknown energy pulse that had disabled CCTV cameras all over the world. The moment I read that, a wave of excitement hit me. This was perfect. I checked the time on my phone, 10:06 p.m. I packed the death spicy snack, moved quietly, and headed straight toward the plaza without wasting another second. The place was empty. Only some leftover junk items from earlier were scattered around. I pulled out the death spicy snack from my pocket, took a breath, and carefully placed it on the altar. Instantly, something changed. The altar reacted violently. A massive red beam shot straight into the sky, and within seconds, the entire city was drowned in that crimson light. Even people walking kilometers away stopped in fear, staring at the terrifying scene. And right there, in front of me, a large black egg formed on the altar. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed it, held it tight against my chest, and disappeared from the scene without looking back. At that exact moment, sirens blared inside the headquarters of the Bureau of Abnormal Affairs in the capital. A serious-looking man spoke sharply, asking for a report. The response came immediately. "General, based on our data, we've traced the location." The map pointed directly to my city, Jiang City's West District. "Declare that area an S-class observation zone immediately. Inform the Jiang City branch. No matter what it takes, find out what that red light was." Meanwhile, I had already made it back home. Standing there, holding that massive egg in my arms, I was completely confused. What even was this thing? I mean, I couldn't exactly crack it open and make golden fried rice out of it, right? So what was its use? Just as that thought crossed my mind, strange words began forming across the shell. Abyss Demonic Dragon Egg. Quality: mythical. After hatching, it would become an abyssal demonic dragon as a pet, a creature whose power could even kill gods. The moment I read that description, my mood flipped instantly. I was hyped. Anyone who's ever played a game knows, mythical is the highest tier across all categories. That death spicy snack didn't disappoint me at all, but right after that, something else felt off. My eyes. They weren't just analyzing altars, they could analyze reward items too. That caught me off guard. I rushed to the bathroom, stared straight into the mirror, and there it was. Text floating over my reflection. Eye of Truth. Quality: unique. It could see the cause and effect of everything. And not just that. When I looked at an altar, it revealed its connected coordinates and requirements. When I looked at items linked to altars, I could see their quality, their name, everything. Realizing that, I couldn't help it. I was genuinely excited. I finally understood my abilities completely. I muttered to myself, almost laughing. I never thought these eyes would have so many uses. Then suddenly, I remembered that earlier news post. People receiving strange wood or ordinary stones as rewards, having no idea what they were for, and just wasting them. But my case was different. All I had to do was look once, and I'd know everything. Hidden gems in the future? Yeah, finding them was now completely possible for me. I carefully wrapped the dragon egg in a blanket and checked the time again. 10:30 p.m. Only an hour and a half left before the day ended, which meant I still had 2 more sacrifice chances remaining. That thought alone got me moving. I packed a few items into my bag: mint oil, a lighter, and a philosophy book. To most people, they were trash, but I kept them. And for safety, I added a fruit knife at the end. Just as I was about to leave, my eyes landed on a photo frame sitting on the table. In the picture, Xiao Weiwei was smiling brightly. I paused for a second, then decided there was no point keeping it. I slipped the photo into my pocket, planning to throw it away later. Stepping out of the house, I headed straight toward the abandoned factory area in West City. That place had been shut down for a long time, and its complex layout made it the perfect spot to take action. And right then, my phone started ringing. The caller? Of course, my ex-girlfriend Zhao Weiwei. I didn't even hesitate. I cut the call immediately, then blocked and deleted her number. At that same moment, inside a 5-star hotel, Zhao Weiwei was with Zheng Yang. She probably thought I was still sitting in my broken-down rented room, depressed and miserable. But the next second, I had already cut the call. Seeing that, my ex-girlfriend, a fire of anger ignited inside her. She started thinking, how dare that loser she dumped cut her call like that? Sitting beside her was Zheng Yang, who noticed her expression and casually asked, "What happened, baby?" And just like that, one simple question cooled all her anger instantly. Looking at the man in front of her, she felt happy, because he could easily buy her bags worth thousands and watches worth millions. In this era, those were the best sacrifice items, and things like true love or promises, completely worthless compared to those benefits. After all, she had already sacrificed the designer bag I gave her, and the altar responded with an incredible green light. Even her next 2 sacrifices also gave her green light rewards. At this point, it felt like she believed she was the chosen queen of this new era. Zheng Yang, sitting beside her, kept taking care of her, but there was a calculating look in his eyes. At first, he had only planned to spend a little money and have some fun, but he didn't expect this woman's luck to be so insane, getting green light 3 times in a row. Now he was thinking, maybe keeping her close could be useful later. Meanwhile, I had already reached the abandoned factory area. I needed to find 2 more correct altars before midnight, otherwise I'd waste my remaining chances. After walking a short distance, I spotted one. Altar number 25091, connected coordinate, scrap machinery spirit, a mechanical imp that loves collecting junk. It's especially attached to bottle caps. I shook my head after reading that. A trash-collecting mechanical imp? Yeah, that wasn't giving me anything worthwhile. I moved on. A little further ahead, another altar appeared. Altar number 18472, connected coordinate, dried pond, a dying fish spirit that wants to drink sweet water one last time. Still not good enough. I wasn't satisfied, so I kept moving until I reached a narrow street filled with garbage. After confirming no one else was around, I focused on the altar there. Altar number 444, connected coordinate, tragedy theater, a drama heroine who endlessly repeats her role on stage. She's grown bored of her pre-written script. Now she wants something filled with real betrayal, something overflowing with hatred and pain. My breath caught the moment I read that. The number alone, 44444, already felt ominous, and the demand, on another level. Then it hit me. My breakup was still fresh. I pulled out Zhao Weiwei's photo and started cutting it with my fruit knife, but it didn't feel like enough, like the hatred and pain weren't fully expressed, so I closed my eyes and remembered her words. "We're from different worlds. Please stop bothering me." And suddenly, I smiled. I took out my lighter, burned part of the photo until it turned black, then placed it on the altar. Instantly, a pillar of purple light shot upward. It wasn't as overwhelming as the red light, and the news hadn't even mentioned this color before, but for some reason, I felt hopeful. A moment later, 5 old tickets appeared, and I grabbed them immediately. My Eye of Truth activated, and text appeared. Series item, Act 4, admission ticket, quality, epic, one-time consumable. When used, it brings out a target's deepest fears or most painful memories, worsening their mental state and immobilizing them for 3 seconds. I was seriously impressed. Epic level. Sure, it wasn't as broken as the Dragon Egg, but a guaranteed 3-second hard control item? In a fight, that's the difference between life and death, and it felt like this was part of a bigger series. If I could collect the earlier parts, who knows what kind of insane effect it would unlock. I was still thinking about it when reality snapped back. Time. I didn't have much left. Only 30 minutes until midnight. I started searching deeper into the factory area and found another altar. Altar number 7591. Connected coordinate. Confusing crossroads. A lost explorer hoping to find the right path. I shook my head and moved on. I had no solution for that demand. A bit further ahead, another altar caught my attention. Altar number 1988. Connected coordinate. Silent library. An old librarian who sincerely wants to hear praise. I considered it for a second, but then I stopped myself. Thinking about my past struggles, I decided I needed maximum profit. After circling the area, I finally found a large workshop, and inside it, an altar stood there in a strange way. Altar number 110. At first, the number didn't mean much, but then it clicked. Binary code. Weird text appeared. Connected coordinate. Logic starting point. A super AI on the verge of developing consciousness. It understands all complex calculations, yet cannot comprehend one paradox. Why intelligent beings think about questions unrelated to survival. It seeks a sample of this useless wisdom. I didn't hesitate. This was the one. I pulled out a book from my bag. Being and Nothingness, an existential philosophy book. It matched the altar perfectly. The moment I placed the book on the altar, a sharp sound erupted, so intense it felt like my ears were about to burst. The air filled with the smell of burning electronic wires. I panicked. Did I just fry its CPU or something? And then, boom, a golden beam shot into the sky. The entire workshop was flooded in golden light. My heart started pounding uncontrollably. In just a few hours, I had triggered red, purple, and now golden light. Colors no one on the internet had even seen yet. And right then, a cold, deadly presence crept up behind me. Through the blinding light, I saw a shadow rushing toward me at inhuman speed. The tip of a knife was about to pierce my back, but suddenly, the attacker froze mid-motion. A painful scream followed as his knife clattered to the ground. He clutched his head, writhing in agony, because at the last second, I had used the Act 4 admission ticket. He was trapped in his own painful memories for 3 seconds. That was all I needed. I pulled out my fruit knife and ended him in a single strike. The moment it was over, I leaned against the wall, my body shaking uncontrollably. It was the first time I had taken a life. I couldn't even look at the corpse. I turned away and threw up everything in my stomach. After a while, I forced myself to stand again. Looks like high-level lights don't just bring rewards, they also attract death. They lure dangerous people hiding in the shadows. Then I noticed two faint white lights emerging from the body. I activated Eye of Truth. Lightweight leggings, quality. Normal slightly increases speed and jump height, unowned. Then I checked the second item. Poor quality stamina, amulet quality. Normal slightly increases stamina, unowned. The word unowned hit me hard. My mind started racing. I had just understood a terrifying rule. Kill and loot. If you eliminate someone, their sacrifice items become yours. This guy had two useful items, which meant he might have killed someone before too. But then a question hit me. Why was the internet only talking about different colored lights? Why hadn't anyone mentioned this risk? The deeper I thought, the more uneasy I felt. It's not that people didn't know. It's that the ones who knew chose to stay silent. And because of that, some people just like him ended up lying on the ground. Just like that body, dead on the ground. Some people wanted to become hunters themselves, while others were too afraid to speak up, just like the government, because if the truth got out, it would mean officially admitting that the old system was gone. The Dark Forest rule had begun, and the entire world would fall into chaos that no one could control. Realizing that, I didn't waste a second. I picked up those white light items and looked straight into the center of the altar. There, sitting quietly, was a fist-sized metal cube. I activated my Eye of Truth. Dimensional storage, quality, legendary. Upon binding, grants an initial 1,000 cubic meters of storage space. Items can be stored and retrieved through thought. I froze for a second. Legendary. This was an insanely useful support item. My mind immediately went to the demonic dragon egg back at home. If I stored it inside this dimension, it would be completely safe. The moment my finger touched the cube, a massive empty space appeared inside my mind. Just by thinking, I sent the Act 4 admission ticket into it. After that, I checked my phone. Midnight, 12 a.m. I put away the blood-stained fruit knife and decided to leave. But the moment I stepped outside, the sky tore open with a blinding flash of lightning, and heavy rain began pouring down in huge drops. Just moments ago, the sky had been clear, full of stars. So how did this storm suddenly appear? Something felt off. This rain, it wasn't normal. I stopped right there instead of moving forward. I had an umbrella in my bag, but I didn't know if the rain itself was dangerous. Ever since the altars appeared, the world had changed too much. Anything could happen, anywhere. So I decided to wait. I pulled out my phone and checked. And sure enough, the internet was already blowing up with posts about the rain. Earlier, the trending topic was sacrifices. Now everyone was asking, is it raining like crazy over there too? Bro, something's definitely wrong with this rain. Don't get soaked. Don't mutate, man. What's gonna happen to me? I got wet. I haven't even held my girlfriend's hand yet. Please don't turn me into a zombie. The post kept refreshing rapidly, and slowly, fear started creeping into my chest. If the rain really infected people, the outcome would be catastrophic. I was still trying to think of a solution when suddenly a red highlighted post caught my attention, and my heart dropped. Oh shit, something's seriously wrong. The altars have disappeared. I immediately turned around, and yeah, the altar behind me was gone, completely vanished, and worse, the dead body was gone too. I was sure no one else had come here, which meant there was only one explanation: the rain. Its arrival meant the altars would disappear, and everything from the previous day would be washed away. On top of that, all the world's cameras were already down. Wasn't this the perfect environment for killing and looting? Once I realized the rain itself wasn't directly harmful, I opened my umbrella and headed home. Not long after I left, the Bureau of Abnormal Affairs arrived at the scene. They quickly found the exact spot where the altar had been. Leader Qin Feng immediately turned to her team. A young woman in her 20s stepped forward. Yesterday, after her sacrifice, she had gained the power of energy backtracking. She could sense residual energy in the surroundings. The stronger the energy, the clearer the traces. Lin Wan closed her eyes and focused, but suddenly she let out a painful gasp and staggered backward. Qin Feng caught her instantly. What happened? Lin Wan was breathing heavily, her voice trembling. This place, it's completely different from the Nangong area yesterday. If that energy was like a firefly, then this is like daylight, like the sun itself. One of the team members couldn't hold back and asked, "Is this golden light?" Qin Feng's expression turned deadly serious. "Seal this area immediately. Start a full investigation. Report this to headquarters. I suspect something extremely dangerous is hiding here." Meanwhile, I had already reached home. The first thing I did was store the demonic dragon egg inside my dimensional space. Now, I didn't have to worry about it being discovered. I started thinking, if the dragon could also enter this space after hatching, that would be even better. But before that, the real question was, how do I hatch it? I remembered those blood contract scenes from movies. so I decided to try it. The moment I dropped a bit of my blood onto the egg, new text appeared. Hatching condition, absorb a large amount of blood. Yeah, that was a little different from what I expected. My own blood wouldn't be enough. I'd have to figure something out tomorrow. After staying on high alert the entire day, exhaustion finally caught up to me, and I fell asleep quickly. At 5 a.m., a loud siren woke me up. I looked outside. The altars were back. I grabbed my phone and checked immediately. New updates had already spread. The gray rain from last night didn't harm the body. It stopped at 5 a.m., and the altars returned afterward. After getting up, I figured I should go out, grab some food, and think about where I'd get enough blood for the egg. I ordered noodles at a restaurant while scrolling through my phone, but even today, the internet was still obsessed with sacrifices. Some people had practically turned into gamblers over it. While eating, I overheard two men talking beside me. One of them said mysteriously, "Look at these people. They're obsessed with sacrifices, throwing away antiques and jewelry like gamblers, but they're forgetting something important." The second man leaned in, curious, and right then, it hit me like lightning. Food processing, meat. And where does that come from? Slaughterhouses. If I owned one, my blood supply problem would be solved instantly. I rushed back home and started searching online. Because of the altar chaos, many factories were being sold. I quickly found a post, a small slaughterhouse on the outskirts of the city, for sale due to personal reasons. Price negotiable. I called immediately and set up a meeting. After hanging up, I checked my bank balance. And honestly, this money might not even be enough for proper sacrifices, but it could give my dragon a nest. By 2 p.m., I reached the outskirts of Jiang City. A middle-aged man welcomed me and started showing me the factory. I didn't say much, just looked around quietly. My cold, uninterested attitude made him nervous, and he hesitantly quoted a higher price, but I just shook my head. After a long negotiation, I bought the place for 40% of his asking price. He handed me the keys and even gave me contacts for nearby farms, solving my supply issue instantly. While inspecting the factory, I found a hidden path leading to the basement. It was an old storage room. And suddenly, my eye of truth sensed a faint energy. I slowly moved a wooden board aside, and there it was, an altar. This one was completely blood red, and I could hear a heartbeat coming from it. Suppressing my fear, I activated Eye of Truth, and a sharp pain stabbed into my eyes. Burning red letters appeared. Altar number 40. Connected coordinate. Crimson Throne. Devour everything until the Crimson Rain arrives. Special attribute, Eternal Altar. This altar will always remain here, and does not consume your daily sacrifice limit. Unlimited sacrifices allowed. Special attribute, Flesh Furnace, can convert altar items back into blood and flesh materials. I just stood there, stunned. This was the lowest numbered altar I had ever seen, and it was permanent. The most dangerous part, no sacrifice limit. And this place was mine. I quickly realized, if I set this up properly, even useless items could be converted into blood energy, strengthening my body. I couldn't resist testing it. I took out the poor quality stamina amulet and threw it into the altar. A small, old-style glass bottle appeared, filled with dark liquid. I activated Eye of Truth. Original blood, quality, normal, permanently increases blood energy slightly. Exactly what I expected. Without hesitation, I drank it. I thought it would taste disgusting, but it was surprisingly smooth, even slightly sweet. For a moment, nothing happened. And then, boom, a wave of heat surged through my body. Every cell felt like it was absorbing energy. Steam started rising off my skin. This was completely different from anything before. It felt like power was coming directly from my blood. I walked over to a chunk of meat, and with a simple punch, I sent the heavy 100-pound mass flying across the room. That was way beyond what I expected. If this was just a normal bottle of blood, becoming a physical god wasn't a dream anymore. I steadied my breathing, trying to control my body. I planned my next move. Tomorrow, I'd get a batch of chickens to hatch the dragon egg. But for now, I needed to collect useless items, the kind no one wanted. People were spending fortunes on sacrifices and getting trash in return. That trash, that was my target. Gambling was risky, but collecting leftovers wasn't. By afternoon, I contacted a poultry farm boss, but ran into a new problem. I had no money left. Buying the slaughterhouse had drained everything. Even in this new era, money still controlled everything. So I decided to start by collecting junk items first. Maybe I'd find hidden treasures. With my new exclusive altar setup in mind, I headed out to use today's sacrifice limits. As I reached the vegetable market, a horrifying scream echoed through the air. I turned and saw a humanoid monster in torn monk robes tearing apart a pedestrian, devouring him alive. I instantly activated Eye of Truth. Flash-eating hate monk. Ordinary disaster. A temple guard beaten to death under false accusations of stealing meat now hates all meat-related sacrifices. I understood immediately. Some idiot must have sacrificed meat. and caused this disaster. That was basically summoning death itself. Suddenly, off-road vehicles rushed in, doors slammed open, and armed people jumped out. Leading them, Qin Feng. She gave rapid commands, sealing the area instantly and clearing the crowd. I stayed back, watching from a distance. Qin Feng turned to Lin Wan. Energy fluctuation is extremely strong, Lin Wan said seriously. I heard everything from behind the police line. She could sense energy like a human detector. Suddenly, Lin Wan's gaze snapped toward me. Our eyes met, and I forced myself to act normal, suppressing every bit of tension inside me. She frowned slightly. She had sensed something, but it was too faint to confirm. Was that just my imagination? She muttered. Just then, the monk monster roared again. Qin Feng ordered her team to fire, but modern weapons didn't faze it. Close combat team, move in! Two figures rushed forward at insane speed. One moved so fast his shadow lagged behind, slashing the monster's neck with a dagger. The other swung a massive iron frame into its head, knocking it off balance. Qin Feng seized the moment, leaping in herself. Lightning crackled along her blade, and with a single strike she severed the monster's head. I stood there, stunned. Their teamwork was flawless, and my level, way below theirs. I needed to get stronger, fast. Who knew when I might have to face them myself? As the sun began to set, I decided to head toward a safer area to search for altars. Along the way, I saw several, but their quality was far worse than yesterday. Passing by a half-constructed building, my eye of truth picked up a weak energy signal. I climbed to the second floor and found another altar. Altar number 1955, Eternal Clock City, a clockmaker god seeking perfection, yet bored of its own flawless creation. Desires change. I couldn't help but scoff. What kind of ridiculous demand was that? You can't see time, can't touch it. So what exactly do you sacrifice? I left it behind. Moving further into the suburbs, I found another, this one made of spiderwebs. Altar number 3712, Pig Demoness. A mother who lost her voice. Her child cries every night. She wants to sing a magical pig lullaby again. I just stared at it. A pig demon lullaby? Where was I supposed to get that? This was getting absurd. Frustrated, I moved on. 2 failures in a row. Yeah, it was starting to get to me. Just as I was about to leave the area, a faint light from a bus stop caught my attention. I rushed toward it and found an altar made entirely of matchsticks. The moment I stood near it, a strange sadness washed over me. I activated Eye of Truth. Altar number 2333, Snowy Street Corner. A little match girl, confused and sad. She doesn't understand why people no longer buy her matches. I froze. That story. I knew it. The little match girl. Were fairy tales becoming parallel dimensions now? That thought alone shook me. But this altar? It had a solution. After thinking for a moment, I pulled out my lighter and placed it on the altar. The world has moved forward. If you don't keep up, how will your matches ever sell? The moment I said that, the altar reacted. A voice echoed, and a purple light burst out. I looked at the reward. Floating in the air was a palm-sized matchbox. That's it? My mind filled with questions. But I quickly grabbed it. A strange, uneasy feeling ran through me as I held it. My eyes revealed its truth. Matchbox of hope, quality, epic. Every morning at 5, it would automatically generate 5 matches of hope. And the moment I read that description, I just went silent. An epic item, and all I got were 5 tiny matches? That sounded like a scam. Still, I decided to test it. I took all the matches out and held them in my hand, activating my Eye of Truth again. It revealed more. When lit, these matches of hope burned with intense heat and light, didn't extinguish easily in wind or water, and could deal extra burn damage to disaster-type targets. That caught my attention. So they could actually damage disaster monsters? Interesting. Maybe they'd even work against black light monsters. But still, just 5 sticks? Kinda underwhelming. I was about to store the matchbox in my dimensional warehouse when a sudden idea hit me. These matches were normal quality, but if I sacrificed them to my Star Rainbow Throne altar, I could turn them into original blood. 5 matches a day meant 5 free bottles daily. The moment that clicked, I couldn't even contain my excitement. I had to test this immediately. I rushed straight to the Slaughterhouse, and about 20 minutes later, I was already standing in front of my altar. I took out one match, placed it carefully at the center, and held my breath, eyes locked on it. The next second, the same scene played out. Dark red blood condensed in midair. It was original blood. I almost lost it right there. This combo, Matchbox of Hope plus Star Rainbow Throne. This was straight up a broken exploit. Infinite gain with 0 risk. I quickly sacrificed the remaining matches, and just like that, I had 5 bottles of original blood. After drinking them, it felt like my blood was boiling, my entire body heating up from within. A few minutes later, I realized I was getting addicted to this power. I checked the time. Only 2 hours left before the day ended. I still had 2 sacrifices left, and I couldn't waste them. My mind drifted back to that eternal clockmaker altar. I started thinking it through again. Its number was low, and it was clearly tied to time. That meant the reward had to be insane, but what kind of sacrifice would satisfy it? As I looked around, my eyes landed on an old desk calendar. My dad had brought it home from his office when he was still alive. I never had the heart to throw it away. The pages were filled with marks, some good, some bad. June had a black circle, the day my parents died in a car accident. Every year, I visited the temple for their souls on that date. Flipping forward, September 15th was marked, my anniversary with Shaweiwei, December 24th, her birthday. Other dates were scribbled too, salary days, credit card payments, a friend's wedding, rent deadlines. It was messy, chaotic, but it was my life. And suddenly, everything about that altar clicked. The time it created was perfect, flawless. Which meant no accidents, no surprises, no joy, no pain, a dead world. But this calendar, this was real time, imperfect, unpredictable, alive. That altar didn't want advanced technology, it wanted a different experience of time. Without hesitation, I headed straight back to the clockmaker altar. When I got there, I took out the calendar and placed it respectfully at the center. Perfect time has no life, but this time, filled with regret and imperfection, this is real, living time. You'll like this change. The moment I said that, the calendar vanished. Everything froze. The world around me went completely silent. And then, golden light exploded out, flooding the entire building like daylight. Countless moments from different lives flashed before my eyes like a fast-forwarding film reel. In the center, a vintage-looking pocket watch floated in the air. I immediately activated Eye of Truth. Destiny pocket watch, quality, legendary, grants reaction and judgment speed far beyond normal humans. I frowned at first. What kind of vague description was that? But the moment I held it, a strange feeling washed over me. That's when I realized I'd been completely wrong. This wasn't about strength or speed. It enhanced my perception, my awareness, my timing. It allowed me to perfectly control my power. For safety, I stored it in my dimensional warehouse, but the effect didn't disappear. It was still active. From now on, if someone attacked me from behind, I could counter effortlessly. I checked the time again, 10:40 p.m., only an hour and 20 minutes until the altars reset, and I still had one last sacrifice left. But after searching the entire area, I had only found two useless altars, one linked to a swamp of giant mosquitoes, the other to a dung beetle park. And then, I heard shouting in the distance. My heart skipped a beat. Other people. I instantly went on high alert, moving carefully, staying hidden, until I saw it. A fight breaking out inside an open warehouse. Two groups clashing violently, and right beside them, an altar glowing with pink light. My heart started racing. That light alone told me it wasn't normal. I activated Eye of Truth. Altar number 9269, Bliss Demon Palace. A battle-hardened succubus queen who has grown numb to normal pleasure now seeks physical stimulation that shakes her soul. I exhaled slowly. Yeah, that description was definitely something. But then I checked my bag and remembered I had the perfect item for it. Just then, the fight escalated. On one side, a bald man with a thick gold chain backed by dozens of thugs. On the other side, only 4 people led by a tall, striking woman. The bald guy stepped forward, grinning cruelly. "You don't want to cooperate, huh? You dared to take our stuff? Hand everything over and give us the girl. Maybe we'll spare your lives." The woman didn't flinch. She just looked at him coldly and said one word, "Get lost." That was enough. The bald guy snapped, "Get them." Dozens of thugs rushed forward, screaming. The 4 defenders immediately took formation. One guy with a dagger lunged forward. Another, built like a tank, swung a steel pipe like a hurricane. The other 2 targeted the lower body, but when the bald man joined in, everything changed. He kicked the big guy with full force, sending him flying, blood spilling from his head. The balance broke instantly. One by one, the woman's team fell. Soon, she was cornered, but instead of fear, her eyes gleamed dangerously. The bald guy hesitated. Something felt wrong, but before he could react, she crushed a meatball in her hand. Black smoke exploded outward, and a 3-meter monster emerged. Oh shit! A black monster. The thugs froze in terror, but what happened next was even worse. The monster turned around and tore one of her own teammates in half. The bald man started shaking. "She's insane! She's killing her own people!" Panic spread. The thugs tried to flee, but the monster began slaughtering everyone indiscriminately. I watched from the side, completely focused. This woman, she was dangerous. A walking time bomb. Within minutes, only the bald man was left. He tried to escape, but the monster crushed him in a single leap. Soon, the place turned into hell. Corpses everywhere. But even after feeding, the monster didn't disappear. It started roaming, searching for more prey. And the woman who summoned it, she was hiding behind a pillar, barely daring to breathe. I checked the time, 11:50. I couldn't wait anymore. This was my last chance. I took a deep breath, focused, gathered all my blood energy, and charged toward her. She sensed the danger instantly, but instead of running, she gripped her dagger and counterattacked. Her strike aimed straight for my heart from a tricky angle. Before, that would have been fatal, but now, with the original blood and the Destiny pocket watch, her attack was crystal clear to me, almost laughably obvious. I already knew her next move. I stepped aside slightly. Her attack missed. Before she could follow up, I slashed one arm, then the other. Both her arms went useless instantly. She screamed, begging, "Let's talk, please." But I felt nothing. She attacked me. The game was over. I swung my fruit knife toward her throat, an unavoidable strike. But just before it landed, she screamed and burst into a cloud of blood mist. My blade cut through empty air. When the smoke cleared, she was gone, completely vanished. I stood there, stunned. She didn't die. She escaped. What kind of power was that? I had been sure I'd finish her tonight, but this world was deeper than I thought. Tricks like that, I'd never even heard of them. One thing was certain, she wouldn't dare come back anytime soon. Just then, a roar snapped me back. The black monster had locked onto me. It lunged. I stepped back. Its attack missed. I used the opening to slash its leg. It roared in pain and counterattacked, but to me, its movements were in slow motion. The pocket watch's predictive power was insane. Within a few exchanges, I carved wounds all over its body, but I couldn't find its weak point. While fighting, I activated Eye of Truth, and there it was, a red glow at the back of its head. I formed a plan. I deliberately stumbled, acting weak. The monster took the bait and charged. At that exact moment, I launched myself upward with all my strength and drove my knife straight into the back of its head. Its massive body crashed to the ground. I exhaled deeply. Finally, over. Without wasting time, I pulled out the dragon egg. Dinner's ready. I placed it beside the corpse. Instantly, the egg reacted. Blood on the ground started disappearing rapidly, and within moments, the entire body dried out. Text appeared. Incubation progress, 2%. I grinned. This method worked perfectly. I rushed to the other corpses. The egg absorbed all the blood there too. Some glowing orbs appeared. Nothing special, so I stored them for later conversion. This was a jackpot. After that, I turned to the Succubus altar. You want extreme stimulation, right? Try fire and ice. I took out cooling balm and placed it on the altar. The moment I did, purple light engulfed me. I expected something insane, maybe even a red mythical reward, but it was just purple. Guess she's into some wild stuff, I muttered. But then, something strange happened. The purple energy didn't disappear. It began forming a human shape. Slowly, it became clear. A perfect female figure, small demon horns, a heart-shaped tail swaying behind her. A real, living succubus. Her intoxicating eyes locked onto mine. Handsome, you've truly pleased me. As a reward, I'll grant you one wish. My throat went dry. My blood rushed. Yeah, not exactly in the direction I expected. Damn! Did I just unlock a hidden wife? And right in that moment, buzz! An annoying sound cut through the atmosphere. The dragon egg started shaking violently. Before I could react, a terrifying pulling force erupted from it. The succubus froze. She could feel it. Death. The force dragged her in without resistance. The moment she touched the egg, she turned into pure purple energy and was completely absorbed. Silence. I stood there, frozen, brain blank. What just happened? My epic wife, gone? I looked at the egg. It almost felt like it burped, then floated back into my hand. My hands trembled as I read the new text. Incubation progress, 41%. I couldn't believe it. An epic succubus. Gave that much energy? Purple light glowed from the egg now, tiny heart patterns forming on its shell. Demon dragon, with hearts. Great. It nudged me playfully. Yeah, she wasn't coming back. I poked the shell angrily. You better hatch into a beautiful girl after this. Lightning cracked across the sky. Gray rain began falling again. I quickly took shelter under a roof as all traces of the battle were washed away. But my mind stayed on that woman. Her escape bothered me, like a venomous snake hiding in the dark. I decided to search nearby buildings and finish this threat for good. Meanwhile, in the capital, inside the Bureau's headquarters, a researcher rushed into the room. General, good news. We figured out the gray rain. General Lee looked up sharply. Explain. Professor Joe took a breath. We analyzed the unknown substance in the rain. It's harmless to the human body, but it temporarily suppresses all superpowers. Silence fell across the room. Faces froze in disbelief.